Hello 3D printing friends. Today I want to share a handful of 3D printed kitchen cleaning and organization items I've been using for a while now, which earned a permanent spot in my kitchen. All of these are practical prints and none of them touch food, which should keep the food safety comments at bay from the get-go. They're things I actually use, and in a few cases, custom designs that solved problems store-bought stuff never quite got right. Oh, and links for these can be found down in the description. So let's head to the kitchen and get cooking. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. More on them in just a bit. The first one is about as simple as it gets, and that's a dish scraper. This is one of those prints that doesn't look exciting, but once you have one, you end up using it constantly. It's great for getting scrambled eggs off a frying pan or sauce off the edges of a saucepan without getting that stuff stuck in a scrubber or sponge. The shape of this one is actually inspired by a scraper that came with a pizza stone I bought probably 20 years ago. I liked that thing a lot, but then one day it stuck to the bottom of a wet, freshly washed saucepan that I moved from the sink over to the stove, and I accidentally set it on fire. So then I had to design a replacement. I printed this one in PETG instead of PLA, mostly because it holds up better around hot water. It's still a tiny, fast print, but PETG just gives it a little extra durability for sink duty. This is a perfect example of a small print that solves a real problem without overthinking it. Plus, when it eventually breaks or wears out, printing another one just takes a few minutes. To be honest, this is the second one I printed. The first one lasted several years. Next up is a sponge dryer, and this one's a little different from a lot of the designs you'll see online. The one I chose has a wavy side profile which lets air circulate around the entire sponge instead of trapping moisture against a flat surface. You'll notice it doesn't have a drip tray, and that's on purpose. Personally, I think putting a sopping wet sponge on a holder and then waiting for it to dry is kind of pointless. It takes forever, and after a while it can start to stink around the sink. Since a dry sponge is a happy sponge, I always wring the sponge out first, then set it here to finish drying. With the airflow around it, it dries faster, and that helps keep it from getting funky. It's a simple design choice, but designing for airflow instead of drip collection makes more sense for how I actually use a sponge. This next one might be one of the more useful prints in the whole video, and that's an appliance cord wrap. Coffee makers, mixers, air fryers, pretty much anything with a permanently attached power cord eventually turns into a tangled mess. This just gives the cord somewhere to live. It's a small, fast print, and it installs in seconds with some 3M command strips. Once it's there, you don't really think about it again, which is kind of the point. Now, this specific design won't work for every appliance. It's designed to mount on a flat surface, and some appliances have curves or contours where this just isn't a great fit. For example, it wouldn't work well on my stand mixer, but there are other cord wrap designs out there that are shaped specifically for curved surfaces or for certain appliances. So if this exact one doesn't fit what you have, it's worth searching for a cord wrap designed for your specific appliance. But still, this is one of those prints that makes you wonder why it didn't just come with the appliance in the first place. PCBWay is known for making low-cost, high-quality printed circuit boards, but they also do CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and even injection molding. They sent me a few samples, and I gotta say, these circuit board rulers and coasters are freaking amazing. And the clear resin prints of the PCBWay logo, these are 100% crystal clear. So whether you need PCBs, machining services, or even something printed in a specialty material your printer can't handle, PCBWay can do that for you. Check them out at PCBWay.com. Now we're getting into some of the bigger organizational wins. These are our pot and pan lid holders that mount on the inside of a cabinet door. I started with existing designs, but I ended up remixing them to better fit my lids and to work with command strips instead of screws. That part was important to me because I didn't want to drill into the cabinet doors, and I wanted something that felt secure but could still be removed cleanly later. This helped organize a cabinet that used to have too many lids. The bigger lids now store properly in the cabinet, and the smaller ones live right on the door next to their associated pots. This one is my own design, and it started out as a simple tiered organizer concept. I designed it specifically to handle larger jars and cans, the kind that are bigger than typical soup cans. The way this one prints is important. It prints on its side, which means I can scale it in the Z direction to adjust the width without changing the overall shape or strength. That makes it really flexible. If you only need it to be a couple of cans wide, you can print it that way. After all, most of the cans I've got in the pantry are standard size soup or vegetable cans. But I have a few jars of pasta sauce and some other canned goods that come in bigger cans, so I wanted a place for them too. Now, I did make this one pretty wide, mostly because I used a printer with a good bit of room in the Z direction. But if you wanted to print something like this wider than your printer can accommodate in Z, you could print them as tall as your printer allows and just print more than one of them. This is one of those cases where 3D printing really shines because you're not locked into a single size or use case. Last up is the Silverware drawer organizer, and this one comes with a bit of a design lesson. I actually started with a fully custom design. I measured the forks, spoons, knives, and modeled everything really precisely and tried to make each slot a perfect fit. After a lot of trial and error, I realized something interesting. Perfect fit spaces are great for product packaging, but they're not always great for everyday use. I thought the shaped cutouts were pretty cool. They looked great in the drawer, but once I actually started using it, the design dished up downsides pretty quickly. In real life, what mattered more was access. With the original design, if I wanted to grab 3 or 4 spoons at once, everything was packed so tightly and stacked so deep that pulling things out from the bottom was just annoying. So instead of perfectly form-fitting cutouts, I backtracked and took the other fork in the road. I switched to simpler rectangular spaces, and I reduced the number of place settings so the organizer could be shallower and easier to use. By backing off the tolerances and simplifying the layout, I ended up with something that's a lot nicer to live with, even if it's technically less perfect and the silverware doesn't quite stay as neatly stacked as I would prefer. Sometimes the best design lesson is just realizing that good enough for real life beats perfect on paper. So those are some of my favorite kitchen prints. All these prints have something in common. They're simple, and they solve real problems, and they're designed around how things actually get used. If you end up printing any of these, or if you've got a kitchen print that you swear by, let me know down in the comments. Thanks again to channel sponsor PCBWay. Thank you for watching, and a big thanks to everyone who supports the channel, whether with channel memberships or by using the links in the description. If you liked this episode, give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe so you don't miss new ones. Well, 3D printing friends, that's about all the time we have for this one. And now that we're at the end, let's go print something cool.